Win or lose, I have a lot of friends out here that are 49ers fans, and they're behind their team 100%. They don't sit there and trash them. When they sign a new player, when they got Jimmy G, they were like, thank God, we finally got a good quarterback. We love Jeff Garcia. We love this. We love that. But, will we ride or die with those guys? It is what it is. They don't sit there and they don't do that stuff, man. I mean, they just don't. It's just different. I don't know.
I just look at it and I'm hoping. I don't know what's going to change. Something's got to change because at some point, these players will not stay here. And I definitely think Hitchens won't be here, and neither will
Matthew.
Neither will Tyrann Mathieu. And I hope to God it changes. Something has to change, but.
And you know what sucks? You know what sucks? I'm sorry, Caleb. I don't mean to cut you off, but do you ever look at the Raiders fan pages? You guys ever look at them?
No.
Not even once.
The Raiders.
Well, here, let me tell you something. I do every once in a while. And I look at a lot of different fan pages from different teams. And I do it for a couple of reasons. One, I want to see what they're saying specifically about the Chiefs, but also I want to see how they react about their team losses. And it's really sad that Raider fans,
I do listen to other teams' podcasts, so I can get the lay of the land.
Well, yeah,
there's disappointment there, but I don't never see them trash.
You never see them trash their players like that. They think Derek Carr is the best thing since sliced bread. They think that they have got even through this whole situation with John Gruden. In fact, I'll tell you a great example. I was talking to Philip Magruder last night. And he was over one of his buddies' house that was a huge Raiders fan. And they wanted my input on the Raiders' season so far. And this guy, he got argumentative for a minute because I told him, I said, well, to be honest with you, I said, they haven't played anybody yet other than the Ravens. I said, they've got a really pretty good schedule sitting there in front of them. And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, look, dude, don't get all belligerent. I said, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's the Raiders. I said, you got to look at a lot of different things besides Derek Carr. I said, it's strength of schedule. It's the defenses they're playing. There's a lot of different variables behind a reason why a team may be 4-2 or why they may be 3-4 or why they're 0-6 or a bunch of different reasons. I said, if you take the Patriots, they were guaranteed 6 wins every season for 20 years. So there was it was the division that they were in. I said, then Tom Brady moves to the Bucs. He's guaranteed almost 6 wins every season. So it's all in. The defenses they play, strength of schedule, a lot of different things go into it. I said they got one of the easiest schedules in the league right now. We got if you look at 3 different matrix, we're between the 6th and the 11th hardest schedule in the league. I said, so, plus we're not playing well. So there's a lot of things that go into that. Then he started understanding. But if you really look at the Raiders fan bases, they never trash their players. They just don't do it. They may say, oh, man, he's just not playing very well. That was a rough game. But they don't sit there and go, damn, what a piece of shit trash motherfucker. They don't do all that stuff. They just don't, man. And for a Raiders team, they're like the bottom of the barrel when it comes to fans for everybody else. But they treat their team like gold.
The most simple explanation I have is that high expectations are not being met. And I mean, if we ever wanted an explanation, that's the only explanation I have to give. Hurt people. And that's what the fan base feels right now. That's what the players feel after hearing what the fans have to say. And they're not looking at it as, hey, these aren't fans that are talking. These are just people who just got here.
I just wonder if people were just drunk.
And that's part of it. That's part of it.
I didn't know. I mean, I was thinking maybe these people are all just drunk. I mean, angry drunks. I didn't know. I mean, I was just thinking, man, are they just really just wasted?
It could be anything, and it just sucks to see it imploding over.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
I think what it shows at the end of the day is there's just many different issues, and if they can't figure this out, and the only way maybe time will stay if the brotherhood in the locker room is that close knit. Because one thing I would say is, every time someone talks bad about one of his teammates, he jumps to defend them.
And the other ones do too. The other ones do
And so
too.
I think, and I feel like that's a saving grace at the end of the day. That's going to help.
Yeah, they all love each other. That's for sure. I mean, you saw War jump. I mean, it's always one jumps in after the other one. They all back each other up, and that's a great thing to have. I mean, it just is. So
that's like you said, the only saving grace, and hopefully, I want him to stay. I'll be honest with you.
I do too.
I told JP many times or a few times that I was hoping for like a 3 or 4 safety set where and you put one cornerback on the field, and I told you that plenty of times.
Yep.
And I still think there's time to experiment with that. But I still want a guy that has Tyrann Mathieu fire mixed with maybe a 6, give him a little height and a little bit more heft to him. And he can go that way. I think that is a doable thing, but it's just tough right now to see any free agents coming here. And I was hoping we can lure some guys from places, but it just like we're imploding. And I just thought we'd be able to go back, retool and go back at it next season. But if we do that, Brett Veach is going to have a challenge on his hands. And
he already has one.
Yeah, he has one for sure.
Especially the hole he put us in by overcompensating the offensive line. There are guys who haven't even touched the field that he's gotten. So
yeah, a lot of those guys too, though. We're lucky in some, because of his infinite ways of doing contracts. A lot of those guys are on 1-year deals. So
we need pass rush though.
I know, but we are lucky in the fact that we're not stuck with a lot of these guys for long term. So, there's guys that are on 1-year contracts, and they're if we don't need them, they're gone. We didn't dump a ton of money into a lot of these players, huh?
There's also so many teams looking for offensive line.
Exactly. So
that's true. We could trade to get someone.
Yeah. So that was pretty actually kind of ingenious on his part, because if we want to go pick up somebody, we got it. The only problem that we're really running into right now is that some of the players that we really want are in the AFC. Nobody's going to trade with us. And if they do, they're going to want the world. And then again, with that being said, it's very difficult to trade within the AFC, especially to us. And they think we're in desperation mode, so they're going to want to ask, they're going to want 2 firsts for a 4th-round pick player. And that's difficult in its own right if we even get somebody to trade with us. So that's in the AFC. The NFC is a lot easier to trade with, but there's not a whole lot of tradable talent coming out of the NFC right now. So it's, who we really want is AFC driven right now. So it's hard. But I do know that he is looking defensive wise, and he's already made one great acquisition today, in my opinion. I don't care what anybody thinks. That was a great move. Very smart, ingenious move by him. I think you're going to see him replace Mike Hughes.
It's an interesting move, considering that he wasn't ever in on quarterbacks to begin with, and now he's like between Mike Hughes, between Josh Jackson, and then there's one more that I'm thinking of. Between all these guys, they're all corners. It's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that Mike Hughes just hasn't really kind of panned out as well as they thought, and I think some of that's positioning. I think he does better, like more of an inside position than he does outside, and he just isn't working out as well as they thought. And they needed somebody else, and they got him. It just is what it is. They're looking towards the future as well. I mean, the one good thing about Veach is that he always plans for the future. He doesn't just look at what we need right now, but he looks at what we need right now and then what we need 5 years from now. So that's a huge help for us.
And one thing I would say, when it comes to Baker and now Josh Jackson, each one of those guys, they went to other teams, but they keep around with the Chiefs.
Exactly.
So that's now 2 cornerbacks we've seen that each won it, and they found a way back to Kansas City when they got drafted by bad teams. So there's going to be things, and there's going to be times where this can happen. Now, granted, sometimes this won't happen, but I have to say the Chiefs have been very fortunate, and I feel a little bit more confident with Josh Jackson now. Hopefully they move Mike Hughes somewhere else, and allow DeAndre Baker to finally play alongside him, we're going to have a better rotation at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very beneficial if it comes to the cornerback room. Because Tyrann Mathieu has some help, but we need pass rush still. If we don't have pass rush, it's not going to do anything. So
your corners are going to be. Your corners are going to end up being left on an island if there's no pass rush.
Yeah. Because we've said this many times, haven't we, Caleb? If your defensive line breaks down, it throws your secondary off of their assignments, and then it is what it is. So it's kind of like it's an assembly line, and when the front of the assembly line breaks down, it holds everything else up, or it throws it off. So it's kind of it starts there and it just works its way backwards. So, and we've said that for a long time, and I know he's looking into it. It's not like he's not. It's just it's difficult, man. I mean, he did rebuild you can't rebuild an entire team in one cap year. You just can't.
Oh yeah, you can't. But I feel like he could have spent a little bit extra on certain areas that would have helped us be in a situation, because we just have no pass rush, and that's a no-no. That's just a no-no.
I kind of wondered if he thought in his mind that I kind of really wonder if he thought Clark was going to be a little bit more beneficial this year. And
I think we all thought.
Well, and again, you can't predict the future, and you see what he's doing at the end of 1 year, and you think, okay, maybe it's going to carry on. And then he gets in trouble in the off season. You can't really find anybody. You're already out of, you're low on cap space. And then you create some, but you've still got to you got to fix your offensive line because your quarterback needs that offensive line. Mm-hmm. So what do? Do you protect your quarterback, or do you rely on the defensive line that was actually halfway decent, 17th overall last year, and hopefully they continue on that way? And that's kind of where he leaned, and it didn't pan out for him. So now he's just got to, it's like, okay, now we know where we got to go, and we'll rebuild that part of it. And he's been very good with, I got to say this, he's one of the better GMs, probably one of the best, at pulling out young players for minimal amounts of money, and they end up being stars. I mean, look at Snead. Look at, all these guys that he's pulled out of the draft that have, Bolton and all these guys that have just started and come out strong.
Hey, I want to throw this out there. I follow a lot of Chiefs fans, and their host, there's two different Twitter spaces right now, and I'm sure they're probably talking about DEFCON, whatever, on these players, on this whole situation. So that tells you how bad it is getting.
Yeah, I might have to pop in. I might have to pop in when we're done, JP, see what they're saying, and bring our 2 cents.
Yeah, do it, man. Do it. We switched to a new platform for our podcasts, and I'm learning how to navigate this thing, so it takes a little bit longer to edit them and get them out. I finally got some tutorial on how to do this, but when this one's done, I'm going to sit down and try to get this one out quicker. The other one it was just difficult. So it's a little harder, but it does give you a lot more platform and a lot more exposure. So that's why we went this direction, and hopefully it'll get a little easier as it goes on. But we wanted to get this show out just because the frustration of everything that was going on. I called Thizz on Caleb called me and said, hey, you want to do a Twitter Spaces? We really don't know how yet, or how we know what's entailed in it. And then he said, well, let's just do a quick show and get Thizz on. And I said, yeah, let's call Thizz. And Thizz, is always there.
I was shocked you called me, man. It's 2 weeks ago, I was super frustrated with this team, and I aired a lot of stuff out on Twitter, and that wasn't me talking at the team. It was more of me just kind of questioning things, and I don't think it's wrong for you to question things.
No, it's not wrong to question.
You hit it right on the head. You were not wrong. That's why I made sure to give you your credit right after that game.
Yeah,
because everything you said was right.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things. You come at a crossroads, you should be asking yourself these questions, and we're at that crossroad. So,
well, you said something tonight that was great, though. You actually put it out on Twitter tonight, and it made perfect sense. I'll say it right now, as a matter of fact.
I said a lot. lot. I just said something.
Here, I'll tell you exactly what you said. Let me find it because it was right here.